Officers of the Council, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your worship, the Mayor of Nuneaton and Bedworth, Councillor Jeff Clark, JP.
Good evening, everyone. So nice to see so many of you here this evening to recognise this somewhat special council, an extraordinary meeting of the council. Please, can I ask you to be seated and we'll proceed with the process. Just make sure I'm I'm live. Oops, a daisy. Right, evacuation procedure. Extraordinary meeting, council meeting for the 29th, Wednesday the 29th of March, for the evacuation procedure council meeting. Welcome everyone to the meeting of full council. There are no fire drills expected at this time, but if the alarm does sound, then please leave via the nearest fire exits or via the entrances that you came in this evening, and gather outside the Virgin Money Bank, or former Virgin Money Bank, across the street. Item 2, agenda item 2, apologies. I've had apologies from Councillor Walsh and Councillor Beetham and Councillor Golby. Is there any other apologies? Councillor Shepherd.
Hopkins and Councillor Neil Phillips.
Welcome.
Yeah, there's also Councillor Smith.
No other apologies. So those are duly noted. Thank you. Declarations of item 3, declarations of interest. Happy to receive any declarations of interest that are not otherwise declared at page 6 of the agenda. I'm presuming that any member, if they realise there is an issue, they will raise it at the appropriate time. Item 4, announcements. I've got Councillor Wilson, who's got a short announcement that you want to make. Councillor Wilson.
No short announcements, both related to the upcoming coronation of His Majesty King Charles III. The first of which is about Coronation Street parties. So the council is yet again facilitating members of the public and communities with street parties this year, as we did last year with the Platinum Jubilee. Applications should be in by the 6th of April, so I'm aware that it is very short notice. It has been publicised for a while, Mr Mayor, and there are a number of applications in, but there is still time for members of the public to do that. So I hope our friends in the press will try and push that as hard as they can, as well as we're trying to do ourselves. And the website address for that is nuneatonandbedworth.gov.uk/street-party. At the same time, there is also the Coronation Champions Award, which is being promoted by His Majesty the King. There are indeed 9 different categories of awards: supporting older people, supporting young people and children, crisis and welfare, communities, sports, culture and heritage, health and care, sustainability and environment, and animal welfare. The deadline for that, Mr Mayor, is the 2nd of April. And the website for that is royalvoluntaryservice, all one word, .org.uk/volunteering/coronation-champions-awards. So if people do want to try and get involved in those, I would encourage them to do so to celebrate this momentous and historic occasion, Mr Mayor.
Moving on, item 5, public participation. Not received any notifications this evening, so we'll move on to the pleasantries of item 7, and that is one of the most pleasant things I've had to do in this council chamber to date. And that's the nomination of Honorary Freeman, Mr David Leach. Do I have a proposer to move that recommendation? Councillor Wilson.
Nothing but pleasure and pride to nominate Mr David Leach, or Dave as he is known to those of us who have been around long enough in the council chamber, and not just to those of us in the council chamber, but to community organisations across Nuneaton and Bedworth and all the villages in between. Now, I know that Dave would never say this himself, but because he is the humblest of men, but he is the greatest of champions of Nuneaton and Bedworth. He has dedicated 27 years of his life to the service of Nuneaton and Bedworth. And that is not just our civic life, but our community life as well. Literally hundreds of thousands of pounds have been raised by successive mayors during his tenure here as the mayor's, well, I suppose it's a wide range of duties you've had to fulfil over the years, isn't it, Dave? Dresser, chauffeur, assistant, confidant, but also as the civic officer organising so many fantastic events over the years. Now, there are a number of former mayors in this chamber tonight, and I would be willing to bet that each and every single one of them would say that yes, they held the cheques, they rattled the buckets, and they promoted the charities very dear to their hearts. But without Dave supporting them throughout their entire mayoral year, all those efforts could not have been brought to bear for these fantastic charities which serve so many communities and vulnerable people in our society here in Nuneaton and Bedworth. Now, I've been trying to rack my brains for the number of charities, and please forgive me, former mayors who are present, if I have forgotten your charities. I'm sure you will also speak about them, but just some of the ones that I can remember during my 13 years as a councillor are, including yours this year, Mr Mayor, the Air Ambulance. We had the Mary Evans Hospice, and the Mary Evans Hospice has been supported by numerous mayors over the years in different capacities and services. The George Eliot Hospital Garden for patients, the Special Care Baby Unit for some of the most worried children and those who need the most attention and care because of being brought into this world early. Leukemia has been another charity which has been supported. The Heritage Centre, and I think there are some people here today who are also big champions of the Heritage Centre as well. I see in the audience that we have Mr Burton, who is also a big fan of the Heritage Centre and supports that and local heritage as well. Brain cancer has been another one that I can remember, and Zoe's Place in Bedworth as well. I'm sure Dave can rattle off numerous other ones which have been supported over the years, but each one of them, every single pound that has been raised along with the mayor, yes, the mayor's name has gone with it, and quite rightly so, but behind that mayor has been Dave Leach. And I think every single mayor, past and present, would endorse this award tonight of Honorary Freeman of the Borough of Nuneaton and Bedworth. But it's not just that, Mr Mayor. There are numerous events throughout the calendar that Dave supports, and I suspect he will continue supporting in his retirement. But particularly, I know that he's been fascinated with the local history of the borough, and he's involved in Nuneaton Memories and all the other historical associations within the borough. But Remembrance Day on the 11th in Bedworth, every single 11th of November, and the Remembrance Sunday parades. Those of us who've been involved in those for a long time will know that without Dave's guiding hand there at the tiller, we would all go awry somewhere along the lines. And the institutional knowledge and memory that this man has is a great loss to this council, actually. And I'm sure that there are people who will still be ringing him up for advice and support. But knowing Dave, he will give it willingly and gladly for the borough that he loves so dearly. He's also supported the Jubilees over the years for Her Majesty, Her late Majesty the Queen. Unfortunately, last year we had the demise of Her Majesty, where I know personally, and Mr Mayor will attest to this with me, the events surrounding the death of the Queen were quite full on and busy, but Dave was there ensuring that proper decorum and services were provided to honour such a majestic lady. And then we had the accession and the proclamation. Again, Dave was there. And many residents, thousands of residents, when we have them, flock to see the Freedom of the Borough parades for our ladies and gentlemen in the armed forces from Bramcote Barracks. And I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen and honoured guests, that again, without his diligent support and hard work and coordination, they would not be as effective an event as they are and provide the joy that you see on the children's faces and faces older as well in the crowd when you get to watch them. Mr. Mayor, the freedom of the borough, the freeman of the borough, is the highest honour that this council can bestow on any citizen. Dave has diligently dedicated 27 years of his life to this council, and I can think of no other finer person to join the role of freeman and free women of the borough than Dave Leach tonight. And I wholeheartedly support this proposal and hope that it will receive unanimous support to honour a true gentleman and true servant of Nuneaton and Bedworth Borough Council. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
And
Okay, thank you. Before we move into the debate proper, I should advise, I've only received a note of apology. Unfortunately, and I'll read the note out, the event clashes with my partner's birthday and the daughters have arranged a family get-together. I sincerely hope that everyone has a pleasant evening. If anyone deserves an honour of freedom of the borough, then Dave Leach certainly does. My partner and I are so sorry that we cannot be there to attend this evening, but I know that we'll be certain that it will certainly be a very pleasant evening for everyone. And that comes from Alderman Gerald Smith and Sheila. So I'm happy now to move on to the any speakers in relation to this, please. Any members? Councillor Shepherd.
I'm not standing up. I've got dodgy knees at the moment. I can endorse Councillor Wilson's comments in regard to Dave. He's supported numerous mayors. I was in the background. I was made sure that actually everything went smoothly. However panicky people might have been behind him, but it went, as far as everybody else, everything was fine. So he's a non-flapper and a non-panicker. So I think from that point of view it worked. I have made a promise to Cheryl that actually it's not our way of bringing him back into the council, because I know they are enjoying their retirement, but I'm happy to endorse the comments. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Members wishing to speak. Councillor Dance.
Been elected now nearly 2 years, and when I was first elected I was given the audacious title of Armed Forces Covenant Councillor, and I've got to say the first thing I did was when I saw Dave. I was told to go and see Dave Leach. Me and Dave started working together over the armistice parades in Bedworth and various other things. I've got to say, he's not just respected. Guy's really, really loved, by all of us. So, again, thank you, Dave.
Chairman's.
In favour of this motion. I cannot think of anyone that would deserve this honour more in terms of service to the borough. Dave has been absolutely outstanding, as we've heard, for so many years. Personally, as mayor, he could not have been more supportive and was so generous with his time and willingness to impart all of that fantastic knowledge that Councillor Wilson was talking about. We have a mayor's parlour that's full of all sorts of very interesting historical things, but they mean nothing if we're not able to show that to the public and explain what they are and the significance in the life of ordinary people like us in the borough. Dave knows all that and has been so generous with imparting it, and also all of the forms that we follow and that he's imparted to Dale as the new mace bearer. In all the organisations I have worked with, I have to say, Dave is one of those standout people that I've come across over my life, and I am extremely pleased that we are giving him this honour tonight. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Condical.
Nice change to honour someone and it not be a political honour. Dave has worked so well for all the different parties here. I think that's why he's got cross-party support. And obviously, as always being an opposition councillor, it's always nice to have someone who's showing us around, guiding us to the right place and making these events run well. They're not always going perfectly well because of the intricacies of weather and everything else. But there's always that smile as he tries to get us all in the right place and get all the right things going. So I'm happy to vote for him to be a freeman of the borough. And I look forward to when he writes his memoirs, because the stories of all the old mayors must be fascinating. I've only been here for 17 years, and I mean, it obviously predates me by about a decade since I've been coming to these meetings. But it's always shown kindness to whoever comes into the meetings, members of the public or whatever, and he's exactly the sort of person we should be giving a tribute to. Thank you.
Councillor Evans.
My thanks to David Leach as well. When I was first elected to this council, it is quite, it can be quite a stressful time for newly elected members, not understanding the process, how the council works, and having Dave always outside the chamber on hand to give impartial advice to councillors. And that is what I like about David. He is impartial. And members know that they can always go to Dave for that advice if needed. And I too, like Councillor Kandaka, one day hope that David will write his memoirs. He once told me about the story in the 1980s, I believe it was, when a lady decided to tie herself to the to your desk, Mr. Mayor. Here in the chamber in protest over the poll tax. And it's stories like that that I think that we will miss hearing about. And I hope that David, I'm sure, will remain in the borough. He is a great citizen, a great resident of ours, and I hope that we can still keep in contact with him. Thank you.
Any other member? Councillor Hobson.
Again, I would like to reiterate everything that's been said regarding being a new councillor. The first bit of advice that I received was go and see Dave. That was it, go see Dave. His kindness, consideration, knowledge, and the breadth with which he would open his arms out to help you with anything. And again, I would also like to reiterate non-party, non-partisan, just purely for the good of the borough. We're losing somebody who is a fountain of knowledge, but I'd like to think that we're going to keep him as somebody in our borough, and I know that we all want to do that. And I also am proud to say that he's become a good friend, and I'll miss him walking the corridors, but we haven't seen the last of Dave. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Any other members that I haven't identified yet? No other members. Okay, well, Dave, can I just, as a new mayor, I've only had the experience of you for 6-7 months, but I couldn't have done this job without you being there to guide me at the outset. You've been absolutely a stalwart of this organisation, of the Nuneaton and Bedworth Borough Council. As has been said, you've looked after a number of mayors, and I think it's about 25. I think it's about 25 mayors, which, as you say, that's a... Yeah. There you go. That's the knowledge that we're going to lose. As you say, we've had 2 double headers in the nicest possible sense, I'm sure. But that information and the information that you carry about this organisation, the Nuneaton and Bedworth Borough Council and the borough, because it's not just the Nuneaton and Bedworth Borough Council, it also relates to the barracks, the voluntary organisations, the support that you've given to hundreds, probably thousands, I'm sure it's thousands, of people over those years. As you say, on a totally non-partisan basis. It's just been fair comment, well made and well respected, and it's well deserved, because your support, you've been a true stalwart of the Nuneaton and Bedworth Borough Council, and we will miss that information. Hopefully you'll do maybe a video for us or something, just to, or if you're not going to do the life story, perhaps you'll do a video for us, and we can utilise that and hopefully take it forward. All the input that you've given us over the years, it's been so very, very much appreciated, and we couldn't have done it, a lot of what's been done in this borough, without you. So thank you very much, and it's my great pleasure to be able to present. Oh, sorry, we need to go to vote first. so much support across the chamber. I was forgetting that we need to go to the vote on this first of all. Oops. You want to reply, Councillor? Oh, Councillor, sorry, before you do, Councillor Markham, a seconder, wants to say a few words.
Already been said. I haven't known Dave for that long either. It's only been a couple of years. But he's always been a perfect gentleman. He never tutted or rolled his eyes when I've asked him stupid questions. He's just answered it and got on with it. He's a credit to himself, his family and the council, and this well-deserved honour couldn't go to a nicer person.
Councillor Wilson, final right.
That we have unanimous, or it appears to be unanimous, support across this chamber to honour Dave Leach tonight. And I think actually that is a measure of the man, to be quite honest. Lots of people give superfluous titles to people, but in this instance, I do genuinely believe that Dave Leach is one of those legends who we will not see again in this council or our borough, because the amount of support and knowledge that he has given to so many over the years is tremendous. I will finish, Mr. Mayor, with an anecdote, seeing as we have had an anecdote, and he probably won't thank me for giving this one, but seeing as it is the last chance I'll probably get, and I'm sure that this action raised at least another £200 for the Mary and Evans Hospice, is Councillor Tromans had his civic dinner to raise funds for the hospice, and egged on, I have to say, by Councillor Gilbert, who was the Master of Ceremonies. There were various items for auction, and Dave took one for the team, and he modelled this. I'm assured it's a high-quality handbag, but he modelled this handbag with style and flair, and there was a bidding war for this said handbag, as can be attested to by those present, and it kept going up and up, and the more that Councillor Gilbert kept egging things on with Dave, and Dave doing his laps of honour with this handbag, the more the price went up. So thank you, Dave, for being so self-effacing, so modest and so humble. You'll get the right of reply in a minute, Dave, when you get to sign the book. But if that has raised £200 in just one evening on one item, just think how much has been raised over the years for all those various charities. And that is actually the true significance tonight, not just awarding you the freedom of the borough, but all of those charities which have been supported, those vulnerable people supported, those in direst need have been supported. And it's people like that, Mr. Mayor, that deserve to be honoured. And I am so pleased that we get to honour such a humble and genuine gentleman tonight. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
So that brings us then to a vote. All those in favour? Any against? Any abstentions? That is unanimous. Thank you, Dave. I have a small presentation award to give, and then we'll get you to sign the Roll of Honour, which I think the Chief Executive and myself have to attest to as well. But there'll be an opportunity for you to give us a little bit of your knowledge or response in a moment. Thank you, Dave. Just this way a little bit. And then we'll get you
Are we in?
No, we're going to get you round the front end, just get your photo.
That's the back of my head.
We need you round
You want around this side?
the other side, yeah. Right. Let's get it right. So first of all, we have the presentation of the certificates, which I'm so pleased, and hopefully that will turn your way. I'm sure it will, because obviously we know you're very proud of this borough, and I hope you really enjoy that and your retirement as you go forward. I know you started there, but long way to go, hopefully. I also have to present to you the actual badge of honour of the Freeman of the Borough, which I'm going to
Thank you.
do with a bit of a plum. That's it. It's there. And
Wonderful.
congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Most well deserved. Freeman of the Borough.
Thank you.
Would you like to say a few words?
I will say a few words, but I won't tell any stories. Are we live?
You'll be live.
Mr. Mayor, councillors, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great honour. There is no other words for it. It's a great honour. As I've said many times to my lady sitting there, I don't feel I've deserved it, but it is wonderful, and I thank you for it. It's been a real pleasure serving the borough and serving the councillors. I've enjoyed every day of the last 27 years, and that is absolute God's honest truth. I've really, really enjoyed working for the council. There isn't a lot more I can say, only that I shall wear this with pride. All the councillors know that if you get stuck or anything, give me a ring. Secretaries have got my number, and if I can help you out, I will. And on that happy note, I think, Mr. Mayor,
We need you to sign the roll of honour.
sign the roll of honour. Yeah, we've had several comments about writing a book. I don't think I will, because they would swear it was fiction. So.
So we need yourself.
Thank you, sir.
Pick this up.
Officially Freeman.
You're on now.
Wonderful. How to use it?
Congratulations,
Thank
Dave.
Thank you. Thank you, Grant.
We'll take a
Photos?
couple of photos in here, and then we'll take a couple. Do you want a couple on here or down there, or where do you want us? Brilliant. Thank
Lovely.
you. Thanks very much, Dave.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
That's fine. Okay.
One of the most thoroughly deserved honours that this council... I think I'm on, aren't I? Is it recording? Yes. One of the most Honours, one of the best honours that this council can bestow. And I'm so pleased to have been able to present that to you this evening, Dave. Thank you very much for your time, your service, and your commitment to this council. That brings us to the end of this first part of the extraordinary council meetings this evening. We do have another one to follow in a short time, but we will take a recess now and return in about 10 minutes for the second extraordinary council. So please, excuse me.